What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing another evening time weather update video. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Today I do want to talk about the flooding in the Northwest, and then also more snow that's going to be entering the area as well. I know, surprise, surprise. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with the excessive rainfall outlook here. We have a marginal risk of flash flooding today, which means you have a 5% chance to see flash flooding if you're in Northwest California or Southwest Oregon, so look out for that. Ordinarily, this wouldn't be a problem, except for it extends all the way into tomorrow with the exact same risk in the exact same area. So it's adds on over time. Well, then it even goes into Monday and expands as well up to portions of the extreme northwestern United States here. So you got to look out here if you're on the northwest coast. Going into Tuesday, we do not have a risk as of right now. Wednesday, no risk. So it's looking like that event is going to be ending soon. But you've already seen multiple inches of rain in some areas, and it's not stopping here, okay? So Seattle, Olympia, Portland, Salem, Medford, you got to look out in that area. So let's go ahead and move on to the snow, okay? Now we're gonna have, believe it or not, another round of snow spilling in from Canada here into the United States. We have winter weather advisories up, but we're going to break that down more in just a second. First, let's play the radar out into 3 p.m. tomorrow, okay, 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time, but most of this will be during Mountain Daylight Time, so take that into account. So you can see we do have some snow pile up here as we play this loop into 3 p.m. tomorrow. Alright, so let's go and break this down state by state, right? Washington, okay, southern Washington is not going to see anything at all, most likely. Once you get into like West Seattle, right across the river here, you could get a dusting of snow. And then north central and northwestern Washington could actually get a couple inches of snow in the mountains here. Here's a 1-inch reading just west of Buckner Mountain, okay, so look out for that. 1.2-inch reading just north of Robinson Mountain, okay, so 2.1, 2.9, even a 4.1 reading here just southwest of Mount Spickard, okay, so in these darker blues, that's a lot of snow, guys, okay. 4 inches for this time of year is very uncommon, but it's happening here in northwest Washington, alright, so look out for that. We also are going to be seeing some snow in northeastern Washington, okay, and like the Spokane region, you could get a dusting, but once we get into extreme northeastern Washington, it gets even more, well, extreme. We got a 2.8-inch reading there northwest of Monumental Mountain, a 0.6-inch reading just south of Gipsy Peak, so you gotta look out, alright, we could get several inches of snow in northeast Washington as well. Idaho, okay, we're going to break Idaho down. Almost the entire state's going to be seeing something, unless you're in, like, southwestern or extreme southeastern, alright? Central Idaho here, you could definitely get several inches of snow, okay? Like, in the Challis region, there's a 2.6-inch reading around there. Let's see if we can get any others. Probably not, because there's not any major cities here. There's a 2.5-inch reading, okay? But if we were able to get, like, a good reading out of this, I think we could definitely see 3 or 4 inches in those darker blues, alright? So you gotta look out for, like, Taylor Mountain, Poison Peak, Lem Peak, May Mountain, that area. Okay, so definitely look out for that. Once you get into like eastern and southeastern Idaho, you could get a dusting of snow upwards of an inch. If you're in extreme eastern Idaho, you could actually see a couple inches, okay? So do look out for that. The Panhandle, alright, the Panhandle usually gets hit pretty hard by this snow that spills in from Canada, and it is this time, okay? There's a 2.3-inch reading, a 1.7-inch reading, alright? Okay, so you gotta look out for multiple inches of snow in the Panhandle of Idaho as well. Montana, alright, over the next 24 hours, we could see some snow in western Montana. The eastern half's going to get nothing, but once you get into like southwest of Red Lodge, which has already gotten pretty heavily dumped on in the past 24 hours, there's a 2.4-inch reading just northwest of Cook City, alright? So several inches of snow, or at least a couple inches of snow are going to be possible, even if you're not in the mountainous regions. But once you get into the mountains, we're talking about a good 3, 4, maybe even isolated areas up to 5 or 6 inches of snow there, okay? So you gotta look out for that. And then you get into like extreme western Montana, alright, we do have some areas that are going to get into like the 4 or 5 inch snow region again, so you definitely got to look out, especially in the mountainous regions. You're going to get dumped on pretty heavily here, okay? Unfortunately, we can't really get a good reading, so we'll just go ahead and move on to our next state here, which is going to be Wyoming, okay? Now, Wyoming is another state very similar to Montana because the western half is going to get heavily dumped on, but the eastern eastern half's going to be getting nothing, man. Nothing at all, alright? So, just west of Du Bois here, those are some dark blues. You know, those are indicating our 7, 8 inches of snow. There's a reading that's 4.6 inches, okay? But you could definitely get more than that, I would say, alright? I think it's definitely possible that we could see some isolated areas, maybe localized areas up to 7 inches of snow, alright? So we've really got to look out here, especially in like northwestern Wyoming. There's a 4.9 inch reading just north of Rendezvous Peak. So look out, like seriously, guys. It is going to get pretty dangerous out there. Not necessarily dangerous, but pretty heavy out there. 3.8 inch reading there, just north of Washakie Wilderness area. So look out for that. 3.5 inch reading northwest of Cody. So yeah, definitely look out for that. Next up, we got Oregon. Okay, Oregon's an interesting one, kind of. The eastern half's going to get a dusting, most likely, okay, unless you're an extreme southeastern. Then you get in, like, south central near Lakeview. You could get a couple inches. There's a 1.7 inch reading there in the mountains. But even if you're not in super high elevations, you could still get an inch and a half, you know, areas like that. 1.7 inches. I guess that's in the mountains, though, okay? But still, look out in Oregon as well. And it even spills into California and Nevada a decent amount here. Northern California, all right. There's a 2.2 inch reading in the mountains, but if you're not in the mountains, a dusting of snow is likely, most likely, unless you're in extreme northeastern California, but most of that is mountainous regions. Willow Ranch, a couple inches of snow possible, alright, so look out in California. Nevada, northwestern Nevada, could get 1/10 of an inch, 2/10 of an inch, but once you get into, like, extreme northwestern Nevada and isolated areas in the mountains, you're in, like, the 1 to 2 inch region, okay? Now, you may have heard me say at the beginning of this segment that we were going to have winter weather advisories up, and we do. And they're actually going to be over here in portions of the upper western Midwest in North Dakota, Minnesota. Okay, this only goes to 3 p.m. Sunday, but we are going to see some more snow spill into central regions of the states here, like Minnesota and the Dakotas. So you got to look out for that. But our winter weather advisories are up here already, because we could see a couple tenths of an inch, maybe 4/10 of an inch there right on I-32. As we go into tonight, into tomorrow, there's a 1/2 inch reading there in Minnesota, and in Wisconsin as well. Actually, you could get a dusting here in extreme northwestern Wisconsin, so do look out for that. Right now, the UP of Michigan looks fine over the next 24 hours, but that doesn't mean you couldn't get something later after that, okay? That's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know if you want more like this in the future, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.